So I've been doing this bit recently, by the way. I don't know if it really works, but I've been doing a bit where I'll walk my dog every day. And that's not the bit. I don't just like walk my dog as a bit. He actually needs to poop.
Hilarious.
Waka waka, this guy's getting exercise. No, I'll do a bit where I'll talk about him loudly as if I'm Trump giving a like negative speech. So it'll be like,
Oh, yes.
I'll be like, Winston, he's a terrible guy. He's a nasty guy. He's naked all the time. He poops everywhere. He's sniffing poop. He's sniffing butts. I don't trust this guy. I don't trust this guy. We're going to have to look into him, folks. Winston's a very bad boy. We call him Bad Boy Winston. Bad boy.
Oh, my God. I love it. No, I'm about it. I'm into it. We're back.
Welcome, everybody, to the Zoom Boys, which is now being repurposed as the Zoomy Cathys. Who we got here? Nevin?
Hey.
What are you? Are you a Nick kid? Are you a Cartoon Network kid? Are you a Disney kid? Or are you one of those lame-ass PBS kids?
I think that, like, probably if you traveled back in time to when I was 10 and asked me, I'd say I was a Cartoon Network kid, but I actually think I watched both Cartoon Network and Nick equally. I didn't watch the Disney Channel because I thought it made you gay for some reason. I don't know.
Well, if I'm any testament, I would say it definitely does.
Well, yeah, like, I turned out to be bisexual anyway, so it didn't do me any good. So.
Yeah. We got Madeline.
Hi. So, I'm a Cartoon Network sun sign with a Disney moon and a PBS rising.
Astrology, but it's just all based on, like, basic cable channels from the 90s.
Hi, I'm a Teen Titans sun with a sister moon and a Cyber Chase rising.
Oh, hell yeah!
Way back when
Biography Network son. My Mercury is in one of those Discovery spinoffs that just like plays true crime shows.
When Mercury is in ID Discovery, I am a web of lies, but otherwise I'm basically an evil lives here. But, you know, it's whatever.
I use the Enneagram, which is basically astrology for like Mennonite white dudes.
It's true, like every Mennonite white dude is into like Enneagrams. I'm not sure why.
It's because they
I
like
really don't get that.
It's like the smart in their minds. It's just like it's so much smarter than like Myers-Briggs, but it's literally just Myers-Briggs with like.
But less accessible.
Well, no, it's like the astrology chart mapping thing. Like how there's like we call it wings instead of like rocks or whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about astrology.
Every
You're
time,
also swimming against
every
the
time I
current.
talk to you, every single time I talk to you, I make some new but horrifying discovery that I never wanted, and this is that once again.
At least you got
White
into like, the Jordan
Mennonite
Peterson
astrology.
shit.
Well, if it's gonna get worse, I'm a PBS Nick kid. So that's where I stand. I love Cartoon Network too, but for the purposes of this, I'm gonna stand for Nick harder because I think Nick really puts out the quality stuff, and we're gonna talk about a few of those. Colette, where do you align?
I was pretty strictly Cartoon Network growing up. I didn't have good taste.
All right, so what we're going to do is I think everyone needs to go around and make the case for their upbringing, what their experience was, and how they think they turned out specifically because of what they watched as a kid. Because we all know that, like, cartoons pretty much, and cartoon channels specifically, I think are another, like, offshoot of, like, the Harry Potter house, astrology, Enneagram, whatever way you want to put it.
Arguably better form of pop culture.
Yeah, because at least you consume more than one piece of pop culture.
Unpopular opinion. I've actually never watched or read any of the Harry Potter stuff, so
That
no
makes
idea.
That makes you so
Which I
cool.
think your mind is cleaner and purer than the rest of ours.
I was going to say, like, you're making that admission at, like, the best time ever to be like, yeah, fuck Harry Potter, because, like, now all the Harry Potter stans are like, it's really sad the creator of our favorite shit kind of sucks. So like Hufflepuff
Yeah.
for life, but also fuck you, JK. It's
Isn't
like
she like a deranged Blairite turf who just like I mean
she's just like Dumbledore believes that only biological people are biological, and everything else is determined by the sorting hat. So you can be royal in a Hufflepuff, but if you're assigned female at birth, that means you're a woman. Sorry.
Oh God.
We just see the whole episode with your J.K. Rowling impression.
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on the idea of a transphobic sorting hat who like chooses specifically and just like goes against preferred pronouns out of like
I
spite.
mean, isn't that the series? Isn't that the series?
Ooh.
Oh
That's-
wow.
I mean, yeah, but that's even like a greater argument for like, well, actually, no. If the Sorting Hat actually knew what the fuck was up, then like it would make sense that the minute it touches Draco Malfoy's head, it's like Slytherin because he's like definitely cis, but 100% gay.
You're every other politician in the world. Go ahead, get with your brethren.
Yeah, just fucking go.
Just start
It's like
a
one of
YouTube
those-
channel.
Hi, I'm Draco Malfoy. This is my truck. Now here's what's wrong with Hogwarts.
Oh God, stop! What was that guy that would sit in his truck and would just like woefully misinformedly talk about shit that he had absolutely no right to be talking
You
about?
used guy
Every
singularly. It's like a fleet of them, dude. It's like a whole.
It's a genre.
Wait, can we
It's
just
a
pause?
genre.
Can we just pause for a second and all admit that we thought of a white guy there?
Oh yeah, no. There's no other. You don't see other anything else other than white straight dudes doing the car videos to that level of like devotion. It's like an art form. It's
That
like
would be
performance
awesome, though.
art.
Oh, I wish it was like actually performance art, but like they're too dumb to make it performance art, and I think that's what hurts my feelings the most.
I'm just picturing like the alternative theater department of like a private university, and it's like dimly lit, and like there's just like a white guy with like like a car seat that's been installed on stage, and he's
Oh my god, amazing. Oh yes. No, I am so, oh my god, okay. Even, okay, headcanon, the actor in that school play is the fucking son of the dean. Like, just super privileged, like total nepotism, can't act, but he just sits there and he's like, I don't even know my lines, but you know what I know? Justice. Like, just,
What?
like, got D's all through high school, but through football once, and like, got a sports scholarship. Like, I'm talking Full House and scholarship level kid.
And anyway, here's my video on the value of the dollar within the Chinese Federal Reserve trade market.
The answer is Bitcoin.
It's like literally not ruin the lives of anybody I know.
You think there's like a Tumblr account out there with like some artsy fartsy person who's like also into Bitcoin called cryptid currency?
I love the idea of like a Tumblr person crossed with like a Bitcoin person, because that just seems like those two Venn diagrams of the internet don't really cross over that often.
I mean, I feel like that's just the formula for just developing the absolute worst type of person.
I'm really into it. Like they just sit there, like their blog like says their pronouns, and then it also says if you're not investing in cryptocurrency, you're fucking losing. Like just some weird like capitalist bullshit.
They'd just be constantly flipping back and forth between two poles of like shitty self-righteous things to lecture other people about.
See, I want the inverse of
Like-
that. I want the inverse of that, where it's like a person on 4chan who's like really, really into Steven Universe and Gravity Falls, and that's all they shit post about.
Dude, that's just gonna result in hentai though.
Thank God. Thank God. More
Out of
hentai.
Gravity Falls.
More hentai.
Less Gravity
I'm here
Falls
for it.
hentai, please.
No, more Gravity Falls hentai, but like they're adults and not fucking each other. Like more Grunkle Stan with Lazy Susan. Like let's go.
Oh yeah,
OTP.
Grunkle Stan is fucking
Let's
hot. Like
go.
he is like a hot motherfucker. Like
I want to see
I am
Susan
sorry,
and
but it is
Girl.
Grunkle Stan and Seuss. That is the truth. You guys just aren't ready for that.
No, you know what? I'm here for it. If it involves both of them, I'm totally here for it.
I'm
like,
sorry,
a
this is a
million
little
%
bit
here
of
for
an
it.
aberration, but like with BoJack Horseman, there is so little furry porn out, and it just feels like the lowest hanging fruit, right?
No, but
Yeah,
that's
to be
too
out there.
sad.
It's because it's so sad. Yeah, I don't want to. You don't want to masturbate while I'm crying.
Wait, that's the only way I
can't-
do it.
I can't look at Princess Carolyn getting fucked and get off because I'm thinking about like, oh my god, but is she okay though? Like, I just want her to be successful.
Is she going? Oh, I almost said spoilers. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Don't. I'm still behind. I'm not sad enough for season 5 yet, but like if I get fired, then I am binging it. So like, let's go. Get me fired so I can get a right
spiritual level.
Everyone told me to watch BoJack Horseman for a long time, like when the first 3 seasons came out, and then I hit this point a few years ago where I was completely sleep deprived. Like I did an 120-hour work period during this time. There was a huge event. One of my best friend's girlfriends at the time had come at me because she had heard that I said she was annoying one time. It was such a weird thing.
Yeah.
So
This sounds pretty annoying.
My friend's girlfriend is mad at me.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. I feel like I'm lost in the world. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch BoJack Horseman and it's gonna be great. I watched like the whole thing in 2 days. And by the end of it, I'm pretty sure that one morning my mom was like, good morning. And I was like, nothing's good.
Oh no.
But I loved it. I was into it.
I thought it was like one of those shitty cartoons like Camp Bicklebrackle or whatever the fuck that shit is called.
Brickleberry. I used to watch Brickleberry to fall asleep every night because it was like so static that I would never laugh. And for some reason, in a purely ASMR sense, I find Daniel Tosh's voice very soothing.
That makes sense, actually.
Daniel Tosh only has one good joke, and it's where he says, you know what sock puppets love? Fisting. And like, that's the only good joke he's ever made.
I don't know. I like Daniel Tosh's joke about like how comedians who complain about going to the dentist are like complaining about having running water. Like I feel like that joke's too intelligent for Daniel Tosh, and he must have stolen it from someone else. Like I
feel like he's a smart dude, but he's just stuck doing the dumbest premise for a show ever. I'm scared that that's what's going to happen to Pete Davidson.
Funniest home videos, but with like YouTube stealing shit from YouTube.
America's Funniest Home Videos, but it's racist sometimes.
Yeah, America's Funniest Home Videos, but it's like making fun of people getting raped. Like that's like.
So yeah, cartoons.
So cartoons. Let's get into non-Daniel Tosh related cartoons, which thankfully is the majority of the cartoon canon.
The cartoon canon.
The cartoon
Every
canon.
Cartoon other than that one shitty cartoon.
Let's shoot out of the cartoon canon and start with Colette. You're a pure Cartoon Network kid, so I think that's where we got to start off.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely an interesting place to start. While I love and respect the early 2000s era of Cartoon Network, Courage the Cowardly Dog has definitely driven me to smoke a lot of weed.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Mostly trying to forget that I ever saw that shit.
It traumatized an entire generation. That's inassailable.
No cap, I hear Return the Slab in the middle of the night, and I'm going to shoot myself in the face before anything can happen.
I always thought, honestly, and this is a really unpopular opinion,
Right.
I always thought Cousin Fred was much creepier.
Oh my god. I know a guy in real life that looks and smiles exactly like him, and it just it sparks the survival fear inside of him.
I assume he's in jail. Why is he in jail? I assume
even better, he's a cop. He's a cop.
Oh, oh, the irony. Do you think he puts like handcuffs on people and he's like, "You've been very naughty"?
Please stop! I don't want to think about it like that.
I would definitely bang that weird creature floating in water with no arms that goes, "You're not perfect."
Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
I mean, I'm gonna throw myself under the bus here, but it's gonna be a hard pass for me, dog.
I mean,
Oh, what?
fine.
You're more of a
myself
King
with a
Ramses type?
No. I want to cry over space squids.
You don't want to return the slab?
No, I will never take the slab. I want nothing to do with the slab.
I don't know about anyone else, but like my hairs stand on end when I hear that voice. When I think about that voice.
Yes, same.
Yeah, that was the scariest moment for me in that show. Absolutely.
Another unpopular opinion. So, like, the Ramses, like, yeah, it was, like, creepy, whatever. Mm-hmm. The actual thing that, I forget the exact episode, but they go to New York, and they open up a door.
Oh, my God.
This girl in, like, claymation, and she, like, does the Pee Wee Herman movie Woman in the Truck thing, and, like, and that...
Yeah, that's horrible.
That was
horrifying. Yeah. Yeah.
There are several
Like-
horrifying parts of that show. Let's be
Yeah.
real.
Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like all those early 90s, like all those 90s Cartoon Network shows were like pretty fucked up in terms of like almost like a BoJack Horseman type thing where like, what the fuck was going on with Eustace and Muriel? Like, they clearly weren't happy.
I don't know. I like the Grumpy and the Sunshine pairing. It's such a cliche, BS,
Oh.
whatever. But like, I
As
just
a-
love it.
As like a writing device, it's brilliant. I'm just saying, like, there was a quiet desperation to their like. I feel like Eustace and Muriel like are probably like both addicted to opioids or like like.
Well, like they live in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna
they
say, if you
literally live in the middle of nowhere.
If you live in the Midwest, you're addicted to opioids. That's just how that works.
Yeah.
Muriel,
What the fuck?
where's my opioid mayo sandwich?
Muriel,
Bring
make
me
the
the
make the
John.
shake stop.
Oh no.
I will say though, Courage had some like needlessly sexy character design though. Like
Oh yeah.
the red cat, like kind of like hot, and then
Yeah.
the swamp woman
Yeah.
was a
Oh,
babe.
that shit was
needlessly
super horny.
sexy.
Swamp woman was a
Needlessly
total
sexy.
babe.
Gargoyles. Gargoyles
Yeah.
made me a furry.
Oh yeah.
Not to be horny on Maine, but
I think
Goliath.
we're all
Oh,
We've
we're
already
all
talked
horny
about
on Maine.
hentai.
Trust me.
we're all horny on Maine.
Yeah.
Hi, Dad. I'm horny on Maine.
Hi, Mom. I'm
All
so
our
sorry.
podcasts horny on me.
You know what? My mom can talk shit if she sits through full episodes of The Annoying Orange like I had to when I was a kid.
Wait.
Mm.
Trump at a children's show. Hey!
Oh! Welcome to
I
Pod
can't
Save
go.
America. We are the hashtag resist, hashtag lives, hashtag we're getting
Yeah.
wrecked. Big Orange Man bad. We're here with the comedy.
We're here with the comedy. Oh my god, that sounds like the hashtag for every late night talk show host that exists
Yeah,
right
well,
now.
yeah. Stephen Colbert, SNL, and Pod Save America are all basically telling the same joke and using the same hashtag.
I mean,
SNL
I
at
just
least
like
has
how
made me
SNL
laugh.
brought RuPaul on 10 years too late.
Yeah, like that was their like that was their.
Rue who?
Guys, drag queens exist. Here's RuPaul. And then everyone else is like, oh yeah, they kind of suck now. And SNL is like, what? Don't the woke children like the drag queen?
It's like the person who had a reality TV show 10 years ago. Like,
Welcome to
Always
SNL. We've got a real edgy comedian. This woman's a lesbian, and her name is Ellen DeGeneres. Come on up here, Ellen.
Imagine if Ellen DeGeneres like came on stage like at her talk show and the first thing she opens with, she's like, hey guys, how you doing? They all clap because whatever the fuck you're supposed to. She's like, yeah, so who the fuck wants to die? Like, just,
Ellen DeGeneres is just like an edgy dirtbag lesbian comedian. It's kind of a funny thought. Like,
I just want there to be a Freaky Friday where Ellen DeGeneres and Anthony Jeselnik switch for a day. Like that's
But I mean,
my
like,
dream.
imagine Ellen DeGeneres, but like funny.
yeah, Ellen DeGeneres is good. Like,
I want to see
Yeah,
a
her
Freaky
old stuff is not
Friday.
bad.
Ellen DeGeneres
I want to
could
see a
not
Freaky
friend the
Friday
children.
where like Sam Hyde, Nick Mullen, Ari Schaefer, like all the offensive comedians, just for one episode, get to be in the bodies of the women from The View and just watch every like mom freak out
Oh.
and melt down.
Oh wait, okay, guys, I have a better one. All right, are you ready for
Yeah.
this Freaky Friday
All right.
scenario? It's gonna
Yes.
blow your mind. So I'm gonna start, and you're gonna know it's gonna be good. Wendy Williams,
Oh no.
Sasha Baron Cohen.
Yo, what about Wendy Williams,
never
Eric
know.
Andre?
You would never know. Oh yes. Oh my god. Yes. Please, God. Man, Eric Andre is just such a treasure.
I'm
Really
sorry,
is.
I can only think of his dick.
yeah.
I'm hyped for his
I mean,
movie.
God bless.
Dick at all times.
I'm hyped for his movie coming out soon.
Is
Yeah.
it just a porno?
No, it's
Like,
just
yeah,
like a
here's
Borat. It's just like a Borat type road, real pranks mixed in comedy, which was like the next step
Oh.
for him, obviously.
I think the next step for him was porno, honestly. So, HD.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
HD pornography?
All right,
Hard to
Colette,
tell
do you have
how
any?
quickly-
Do you have any other statements on Cartoon Network that you feel shows to highlight? What's the worst Cartoon Network show? What are some underrated ones? And how did it make you feel as a kid growing up with that shit beaming into your eyes and brain?
So I don't want to like delve too deep into like the Adult Swim Toonami side of it because that definitely deserves its
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole
Its
other
own
episode.
episode.
Yeah.
But you know, I hate to talk about gargoyles twice, but
Talk about gargoyles, girl.
it really
Yeah.
just like awoken something deep inside of my young mind. And I was just like, huh, men, but also buff women who look like they could have snapped me in half with their thighs. I don't know what's going on in my pants right now, but I like it.
Step on me.
Things to highlight 1000%, the Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack, the hyper realistic like up closes on their faces viscerally disgusted me, but also the show is like the most pleasant acid trip you will ever have.
I will have to
No,
say
it's nasty.
the
It's
gross
nasty.
up close up was actually invented by Nickelodeon. I will say that.
Oh yeah, that was like a Ren and Stimpy thing.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy and SpongeBob both use that to wonderful effects.
Sponge who?
He's
Ooh.
remember how we were talking about how cartoons turn you gay earlier? Yeah. That's all you need to know about SpongeBob.
Wait, SpongeBob isn't canonically gay?
Was he actually gay, or is that like a Pat Robertson conspiracy theory?
I don't know. He never had love interests, so I don't know why people are trying to
Maybe he's asexual.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, he
he's
literally produces asexually, and he says that in one episode. He like buds. So like,
Yeah, like all sea sponges are asexual. Like that's not like unique to SpongeBob. Like that's like
move over,
If we've
Todd.
learned
We've got
anything
new
from
asexual
BoJack
reps.
Horseman, you can be asexual and still have a relationship, just like SpongeBob's parents. Let's not
That's
forget the lessons that Todd has taught us.
Well, have you ever
That's true,
noticed
that's
in the
Todd
Todd
episode.
bits, like sometimes when Todd's doing like a bit that's like explicitly goofy, they will play music that is similar to SpongeBob music. And
really?
yeah, like whenever he's doing those bits, you'll hear this whistle that'll be like, and it'll be very
Can we do that one more
SpongeBob-esque.
time?
And I wonder
more
if that's a
time?
nod.
Caleb, how did that go? How
Yeah,
did it
just one
sing
more time. How did it go?
Hey, I grew up Mennonite. The song's in my heart or something. I don't know what we used to say. Something stupid.
I'm gonna back up Colette here. I got to back up Colette here. Cartoon Network. I mean, this is like kind of an intrinsically silly exercise because it's like, who do you like more, Viacom or Time Warner? But like, I'm gonna back up Colette here. Cartoon Network is objectively better than Nickelodeon.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm a Cartoon Network kid, and that's still bold though.
Yeah.
That's still bold claim.
Yeah.
And I'm on your side, but like, that's Caleb,
I'm just going
your
strong. I'm
response.
just going hard. I'm just injecting some drama and some intensity into this podcast.
Yeah, so my biggest defense for Nickelodeon in general is that there's no Cartoon Network equivalent to SpongeBob, right? There's no other show from Cartoon Network where, like, literally every frame of it is, like, a vernacular language that, like, people of a certain age all universally understand. I can sit down in a restaurant and go, 2 salads. And, like, everyone immediately knows what I'm talking about and gets the reference and is like, oh, I understand.
All right. Here's the thing. I will give this to you. Like, SpongeBob is better. Like, SpongeBob is the best of the genre. It's, like, better than all the other, like the totality of, like, all the Cartoon Network stuff. But, like, it's like a SpongeBob is, like, standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, I don't think without Dexter's Lab and Space Ghost Goes to I don't think, like, SpongeBob would exist without that stuff. Like, I think that, like, those shows invented that type of humor, and then SpongeBob refined it, if that makes sense.
I mean, also, if we're ever going to talk about series that have just run too long, SpongeBob is way high on that list for me. It is not
SpongeBob is like the Family Guy of children's shows. Like,
that's
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
that's true.
absolutely. It's Viacom's cash cow. I think I saw something that SpongeBob, like, exclusively on its own makes up something like 4% of Viacom's profits. And if you know all the shit Viacom owns, that's a lot. Like, they own so many channels, so much stuff.
SpongeBob Industrial Complex.
And like that's the best argument against Nickelodeon is that, like, they put out a bunch of shitty shows now and then just have the corpses of Fairly Odd Parents and SpongeBob just gasping for breath.
Honestly, like, kudos to Danny Phantom for not doing the Fairly Odd Parents thing.
For not overstaying its welcome.
Yeah, Danny Phantom was just 14 when his parents built a very strange machine, and it was designed to fill a world unseen, and he got to catch him all because he's Danny Phantom. But he also didn't overstay his welcome. And
Yeah,
I think
he also knew when to fuck off, so I respect him for that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
He knew
thing,
when to
but
go.
you know who Butch Hartman like grew up with, and who, or not grew up with, but Butch Hartman became close friends when he was working at Hanna-Barbera with Seth MacFarlane of Family Guy, who also worked at Hanna-Barbera at the same time. And I think they're both very similar in that they're like talented guys that found one show that they can milk forever, then had like a series of like I don't know if you know what Tough Puppy or Bunsen is a Beast is, but like the guy who made Fairly Odd Parents, Butch Hartman,
Those sound really familiar.
He's still putting out shows. He has 2 other shows aside from Danny Phantom, in the same way that like Seth MacFarlane put out like Cleveland Show and American Dad. They're both people that like they'll do stuff, but they have their one cash cow thing that allows them to have a blank check to do whatever else they want.
Since we're basically turning into an animation podcast, can we do an episode on the What a Cartoon Show at some point?
Oh yeah, of course.
That's some weird shit. I like it.
Wait, the what?
The What a Cartoon Show is that's some weird like that's how the whole thing with Cartoon Network got started, because it was like this like basically I think like originally Cartoon, I'm not really sure what the history of it is. Originally Cartoon Network was like, I think it was just like one of those like Ted Turner owned this cable monopoly, and there was just like a basic cable network. This is like when a lot of people didn't have cable. It was like this basic cable network that just played like old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, because Ted Turner bought out Hanna-Barbera. And then they're just like, fuck it, we're just going to start making original cartoon shorts that are like director driven. And I think that's like where like Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls and Cow and Chicken all came from.
Yeah, Powerpuff Girls used to be called the
Well,
Whoop
Cow and
Ass.
Chicken was
It used to be
Nickelodeon.
called the Whoop Ass Girls when it was on What a Cartoon.
The Whoop Ass. They should have kept
Wait,
that.
shut the fuck up. No, what?
Yeah. The
No,
Whoop
they should've
Ass,
kept-
the Whoop, Nevin, I showed you that before. The original, I can send it to you guys later, but the original short that showed on there was called Whoop Ass Stew, and they were called the Whoop Ass Girls.
Okay, that actually makes a lot of sense, because there's one episode of Powerpuff Girls that's entirely parodying The Big Lebowski. Like, I shit you not. And it's the one where the evil woman shows up who becomes the professor's girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
What is it, like Erin?
No, it's
what is her name?
like Hair Dusa or something. She was like the
Yeah.
Medusa
Yeah.
hair. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Remember that
when
one.
Bubbles opens a suitcase at the end of the episode, because I threw a suitcase out of the car, and Professor's like, what's in the suitcase? And Bubbles go, oh, just the whites. And I'm like, shut the fuck up, Bubbles. You motherfucker. What are you gonna do? Drink a White Russian? Are you out of your mind? Like, what the fuck is happening? Also, weird fact, don't ask me how I know this. Like, it was a dark time in my life, but there is a Big Lebowski reference in My Little Pony also. So.
Oh, I've seen that one. I've
Well,
seen
no,
that
No,
one.
I am asking questions. Why do you know this?
Because it's a great
Right.
fucking show, Colette. You should know that if you were a Foster's fan, because the person who made Foster's made that show. Before we get into that, though, we have to take a quick ad break. We'll be right back to get more into Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon. He's a busy man who only has time for work. I'm the only carpenter in Nazareth, and I don't have time to watch the game. She's a virgin who lives with her parents. I'm betrothed, but I haven't banged anyone yet. But Mary and Joseph are about to be expecting. The unexpected? Pregnant? How can you be pregnant? When they said Nazareth was fertile, this isn't what I had in mind. This summer, get ready to rail Mary hit fourth base. PureFlix presents Yahweh or the Highway, coming to theaters soon. That was a great ad. That was a really good commercial. I want to see that movie.
I love Mike Bloomberg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mike Bloomberg is still paying for our podcast, even though he ended his campaigin, because
Thanks, Mike.
as he told
Mike
me,
Bloomberg,
as he
even though
told
he
me
ended
on
his campaign,
LinkedIn,
just
he's
keeps
just
doing the
glad
ads
he has
because they
someone
make
to
it
listen to. Nevin,
Well,
we
I
both.
actually pay for YouTube Premium for like, I just use YouTube as like everything. So people are coming up with those memes, and I'm like, all right, I feel like this is my niche, but also I'm not privy to it, and I'm kind of happy about that right now.
I literally can't watch 15 minutes of Hulu without seeing his goddamn face.
Oh, girl, I have Hulu Premium. I pay for no commercials. Mike is
like that is violence.
Oh,
like
well,
Mike
la-di-da. Look at Miss Moneybag. She can afford to watch Hulu without commercials.
That's the thing, though. Mike Bloomberg. Mike Bloomberg basically will have so much money that he'll just go into the ad-free version of Hulu and insert himself into like all of your shows, like Billy Crystal at the Oscars.
No, you're watching Yu Yu Hakusho, and like Taguro comes on screen, and before he asks for a glass of orange juice, it's like, I'm Mike Bloomberg. I'm just here to interrupt your show.
You're watching BoJack Horseman. You're watching BoJack Horseman, and Bojack's freaking out about Penny, and he comes on and is like, "Hey, she signed a non-disclosure agreement. Am I right?"
It's actually animated into the show. It's not even a commercial anymore. He's just actually used his vast fortune
oh my God,
to advertise
hold on.
in the show.
Wait, Mike Bloomberg in Neon Genesis Evangelion as Gendo. Like, that is the...
That is evil is what it is.
And it's true.
I mean,
That's
it's
a bad
Gendo.
thing.
It's Gendo.
Mike Bloomberg is going to bring around about the third, he's going to turn
Third
everyone
Impact.
into high C. Yeah, he's going to turn
I missed my wife.
Third Contact.
It's Third Impact. Third Impact.
Third
This
Impact,
is not a sponsored ad for Honkai Third Impact. Thank you so much, but please do sponsor us.
Nope, we're getting
Actually,
sponsored by
sponsor us. I'm here for
Squarespace.
cute. No, give me money. I need to keep paying for my Hulu Premium. Please help.
Yeah. Everyone listening to this, all 8 people listening to this, should definitely donate to our Patreon that doesn't exist yet. Like that's
Mike Bloomberg was totally a PBS kid who got very offended when Ratburn came out as gay.
That's why he's dedicated his life to gutting all like public infrastructure.
He just didn't like that they like ruined his Arthur show with queers.
We have public infrastructure?
Ooh.
Got him. That's the kind of biting
Bloomberg.
social commentary you're gonna get on the Zoomy Cathy's.
Mike Bloomberg is responsible for the episode cut down of season 5 of Teen Titans, and I will never forgive him.
Mike Bloomberg's responsible for Teen Titans Go.
Moment of silence for Teen Titans.
Wait, actually, okay, hold on, really quick. Teen Titans Go, yes, it's not good. It's really not good. But in defense, because I just have to admit this, there is also, by the way, anytime Control Freak is on screen, whether it be Teen Titans or Teen Titans Go, it's gonna be fucking good. Control Freak is like a golden goose, and I will die on that hill. But there is an episode of Teen Titans Go where Control Freak is like, this is what you used to look like, and it shows clips from the original show, and the company, and not the company, oh my god, I'm thinking about Cartoon Network.
That's just sadistic though.
No,
it's like,
but the
this
characters
is like
are
what
like...
Teen Titans looked like back when it was a good show. Like,
but even the characters in Teen Titans Go are like, we used to look like that. What happens at the end? Blah, 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 blah. And I am
the show. We used to not look like Funko Pop bobbleheads. What the fuck? Like,
well, so like as a Teen Titans stan, like I still have a pillowcase of the Teen Titans. Look, I have problems, but like Teen Titans has always been there for me. And
yeah, that's fair.
Like I'm watching that Control Freak clip and the Teen Titans being upset that they can't go back to that, and I am sobbing. Like
it's like a metaphor for life, you know. It's a metaphor
really,
for all of our lives and the things we can't go back to, you know.
The hardest episode of any show I've ever had to watch was the last episode of the original Teen Titans, because it is very adult and very hard to swallow when you just want to watch them get more wacky adventures. But
so
then
wait,
you get
is
Teen
this...
Titans Go.
And trust me, when Robin's on screen, I want to swallow.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, except Cyborg's my favorite, so...
I'm sorry, but Raven once again awoken something in me.
We are not going to make this podcast a podcast on which Teen Titans characters we're going to fuck, but I do like the energy that everyone's bringing.
Yeah.
Well, I also like the energy.
Can we talk about the Hi Puffy on Mimi show, or is that like a...
Oh my god, okay, yes, we 100% can't, because...
But that's like a whole episode, too.
I just wanted to, like... Hi Puffy Yami Yumi, because they did the Teen Titans theme song, and actually they have some other music that's really good, and I was like,
pretty tight,
I thought it was gonna fill a void in my heart, and then I watched it, and like, and I think I said this before in like a different forum, but I want to say it again. If you have a show where your kawaii moe style anime characters are severely not as cute as the live action counterparts, you have fucked up.
Yeah, it's
fucked
kinda-
up.
That's a really good
big
point.
time.
It
I mean,
is.
honestly, what were the art values in that show? Like,
Yeah.
what was the aesthetic they were aiming for? Because I didn't get it. But then
There
you
like wasn't an aesthetic. That was the weird thing about it.
Oh my god, no! I figured it out. They were trying to do panty stocking and garter belt, but for kids, and you can't do panty stocking and garter belt
No.
but for kids.
Oh, you're so right. I see it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Hey Caleb, how you liking this talk about anime that you've never seen?
Oh, it's great. I suspect a lot of this podcast is going to be people talking about anime stuff that I don't understand, but I like hearing about things I don't understand. I hear about taxes I haven't paid and about
I don't understand taxes. They're so weird.
yeah, they are
Don't
so
get me
weird.
started. Don't get me fucking. You're not getting me fucking started. Okay.
I need a man to do my taxes for me. I never
Yeah.
learned.
Well, me and
If you
Nevin
find
are
one,
not
let me
your
know.
men.
And have them do my taxes too on the DL. Like tell them it's your taxes, and then like.
Okay, no, but real talk. That's a part of the divorcee life people don't tell you about. I don't know how the fuck to take care of my car or do my taxes. My specialties are looking pretty and cooking.
I mean, what if there were like back alley tax accountants
Yeah.
that just hung around during tax time and like, hey, you filed yet? And then
Yeah.
you got the stuff, and they just pull out the forms.
When I go to
It's still-
Gold's
it's still-
Gym, there's always like one or two people that are trying to get me to sign up for like freelance life coaching, and it's just always some dude who has like a full jug of water, and like he and his 3 friends go to the same leg press machine and spend like an hour just talking by it and taking turns like seeing how much they can leg press. So now like in Gold's
Oh wait, they're
Gym
taking turns? That's hot.
you would think it's hot, but it's just kind of annoying. But now there's signs everywhere saying like no freelance work, which I thought was really funny. Like it became a big enough problem that they had to put up signs and be like, you can't do this anymore, guys.
They must not have been cute enough while they were doing it, because Lord knows I wouldn't complain if a few muscle dudes at a gym tried to make me watch them do leg presses.
Honestly,
I'm
if
sorry,
anyone,
the cast of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is offering me freelance work.
Exactly, yeah.
if anyone so much as like looks at me at the gym, whether or let alone talks to me, I'm just like, fuck you. Like I'm not here to talk to you. Get out of my face. And they're always like, hey man, what are you into? What tell me about yourself. And I'll be like, I like horror movies. And they're like, horror movies are cool. You ever see Halloween High? And I'm like, all right.
You ever
What is-
wait? What's that new? Oh my god! What are those new dolls called? What? The spooky dolls.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Our age is really showing.
Cabbage Patch Kids.
No,
They are
Garbage Pail
spooky,
Kid.
but in a different way.
they're like the spooky
Yeah.
ones. Wait,
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
There's like spooky girl like brats, but there's
Yeah.
like
What is
brats.
that
It's like if the Addams family and the brats had like a crack baby, that would be like what would like
they're like Monster High.
I just looked
Yeah,
up. I
yeah,
just
yeah,
looked
yeah.
up.
There it is. It's the Monster High dolls. Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
they're like Hotel Transylvania and Bratz, but a little
Yeah.
worse.
yeah.
Yeah.
To figure
Yeah.
out,
Oh my
I just
God,
looked up Spooky Bratz, and the first thing that came off was an hour movie called Bratz Kids Sleepover Adventure. And I think we found our next
I can't believe we
episode,
can
folks.
watch it.
I think we found our next
Bratz
episode.
Kids.
Next episode.
So I don't know about you. Like I know we've talked about like Cartoon Network versus Nickelodeon and blah 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 blah. But like I know that when I was a kid, like I watched a lot of Cartoon Network, but like a lot of my very deep seated memories come from like shitty animated, not Disney movies that I
Yeah.
watched. Like
Is that-
there
is-
was Babes in Toyland was one
Oh
that I
yeah.
watched a lot, and the Christopher Columbus one. What was it called? Oh, the Magic Voyage. The Magic Voyage I watched all the time for some reason.
It's kind of disturbing because it's kind of like having like a kids movie about Hitler, but you know.
Well, no, but he was just a bumbling fool, and it was really about a termite and a fairy and their love for each other. And then Christopher Columbus was really nice to like the Aztecs because it was the Aztecs for some reason. And
As opposed to like when
he asked if he could like keep the gold, and the Aztecs were like, "It's only plated," and then that's how the movie ended.
Like,
Dorado.
what he actually did was like build slave labor camps in Hispaniola, but it's like no, it's like the Aztecs gave him their gold because they weren't used.
Hey, I like this child-friendly version of history.
Yeah, like can we
Also,
live in that reality? Like,
No, there was like an unfairly hot fairy girl in it. Like she was like Tinkerbell, but like sexier.
Ooh.
Just, like kind of like seriously, this was unfair. And I also think it's unfair that the love interest, the termite, was named Pico because there are just too many jokes to make about that. And like fairy girl from the Magic Voyage deserved better, and that's the hill I'll die on.
like not Disney off-brand like kids movie that I watched on VHS obsessively was actually the Jetsons movie, and I downloaded it again recently. It had
Wait,
two
the 80s
seaters.
one?
Yeah, it came out in 1990. I only know this because I looked it up. And Tiffany, like as in the pop star who wrote, she played,
didn't she?
Yeah, she plays Judy Jetson, which is actually elevates it in a weird way. Like she gives Judy Jetson more character than she has in the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. Also, the Jetsons movie had 2 seaters on BitTorrent, which is very.
I believe you mean two employees at the legal video store you picked up this film from, right? Right?
Yes.
The random blockbuster you found that's still somehow open.
Yeah, the one video store.
Yeah, he went all the way to Alaska, which is the only reason to really go to Alaska, unless you're like a snow enthusiast, I guess.
I mean, similar experience with like movie from childhood that you still think about, but mine was Akira, and it haunts me.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, what child's childhood experience isn't full without body horror and 80s grunge?
It's like having like a David Cronenberg movie.
I had the world's shittiest babysitter who went through her husband's stuff and found Akira and was like, "Oh, this looks animated. Just watch this." And went like fucked off in the other room. I was like 8.
I was hoping your babysitter was like a film hipster.
No, she was a middle-aged white woman named Stacy who knew better than everybody and also told my mom how to pronounce her name the right way.
Oh,
I'm just saying,
no.
like, Stacy sounds like the kind of person who, like Jerry pronounces it, like, did you turn our Morty into an Akira? Like, that's the kind of person she sounds like.
Yeah, so my mom is, me and my mother are Haitian, so, very French names. My mom's name is Mireille, and she was like, your name is Miriella, and, like, that's how it's actually pronounced. It's Miriella. You just don't understand. Your name is Miriella.
Jesus Christ.
No, sweetie. That's not your name. This is your name.
Yeah, literally, my mom in her 40s just like, oh, okay, I'm Miriella now. Shit.
My weird off-brand Disney childhood cartoon. I had this VHS. I watched it so many times. It's called We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. Did you guys ever see that?
Oh, fucking yes!
Yeah, so Steven Spielberg, apparently the inception of the movie was that he had 2 kids and he had just come hot off of Jurassic Park. And his kids were like, I want to watch your dinosaur movie. And he was like, oh, you can't. It's too violent.
Oh, so it's Lady in the Water syndrome.
No, so it's worse, right? So he decides to make a kids movie that's like about dinosaurs for kids, and he ended up making a movie that's way fucking scarier and more traumatizing than Jurassic Park ever had a chance to be.
Don't they get like go to the circus or something? Like,
there's like a circus man whose his power is that he tricks kids to come into his circus so he can make their literal nightmares like come to life.
That's right. There was a magic subplot.
And my favorite moment of the movie that I remember, there's a kid.
Wait. I saw Jurassic Park as a kid. That was fine. Like, whatever.
There's a kid, and the protagonist, he's from New York, and the girl that he's like clearly in love with, even though she's 8, comes and she's crying, and this is her intro scene, the best scene of the movie. He gets like lowered down to the girl, and the girl's just like, I'm sad because I don't get along with my parents. And he just goes, why? Did they beat ya or something? And I saw it recently. It was like, Jesus Christ.
What's wrong, Sally? You being abused by your pops?
Also, this movie has John Goodman, Jay Leno, and Walter Cronkite in it.
Walter Cronkite?
Yeah, Walter Cronkite voices the inventor who brought the dinosaurs to the present. Because remember, there's a time travel thing involved in this movie, too.
I cannot handle that. I literally cannot handle that. Walter fucking... he was once voted the most trustworthy man in America, and yet his bitch ass still shows up in We're Back, a dinosaur story.
We're Back is the most trustworthy blockbuster VHS bottom shelf children's movie in America.
He also hosted a TV show on A&E called Dinosaur. So I think Walter Cronkite just might like dinosaurs a lot, and that's why he does this.
Walter Cronkite had like opposite Benjamin Button syndrome, where like the older he got, the more he got into dinosaurs.
He just turned into a 5-year-old boy. He turned into a 5-year-old boy. Is like, my favorite's the Stegosaurus.
At the risk of sounding like a complete uncultured coont, who the hell is Walter Cronkite?
He's an old white guy. It's fine. He was a news anchor that covered the moon landing. That was one of the things that he did.
Yeah.
Oh, so
he also covered
the fabricated moon landing.
He also covered the assassinations of like JFK, MLK, John Lennon. He covered the Vietnam War, Iran hostage crisis, Watergate. He was like a big fucking deal. But also he had time in his busy schedule to be in fucking We're Back, a dinosaur story.
Basically, like in the dark age, before you could just like look up news on the internet, you had to watch it on like one of 3 shitty networks, and
like Anchorman, but not funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, the funniest part of this movie, too, is that John Malkovich was very heavily promoted in all of the trailers, but then dropped out before the movie came out.
I was hoping, that you would just be like, he wasn't actually ever signed on to be in it. He was just falsely
He just showed up one day.
Oh god, I'm reading the Wikipedia page for this, and it not only one, but apparently several video game adaptations of this movie have been released on NES, Sega Genesis, PC, and Game Boy.
Well, that's got to be a port, though. That's got to be a port. Like, if there's 2 unique We're Back video games, I'm gonna lose my shit. Like,
no, it's like a pixelated like platform game.
There should have been a Nintendogs, but for We're Back, where you just have to take care of your shitty dinosaurs with human eyes.
I just love the name We're Back, like, cause I kind of don't want dinosaurs to be back and like be like. It's just like
I'd be cool with dinosaurs not coming back.
Yeah,
they're
like that's terrifying.
Like We're Back implies like what happened to dinosaurs is that they went to rehab or something. Like that's like
the dinosaurs are relapsing.
Yeah.
We're back and we are
like just got done backpacking through Europe and they're like, we're back. We're here to find employment.
We're back, and despite having a 1-month chip, we have already started hitting the White Claw very hard.
Wait, that White Claw makes sense because like they have claws because they're dinosaurs. There was a better joke in there somewhere, but I'm married to it now. I'm going with it.
Well, I'm watching
divorce it.
Oh, I'm a loyal hoe.
I'm watching the playthrough from this game right now on YouTube, and I gotta say, he does have white claws. Like, you're not wrong.
See, no one believed in my love with my joke, and now I've proved you wrong that we will stand the test of time.
We will stand the test of
White
time.
Claw, We're Back dinosaur joke. Years.
It's a whole genre now. You'll be the Daniel Tosh of We're Back White Claw jokes. You'll have a whole show that's just that.
I mean, Daniel Tosh and We're Back have something in common where they like.
What, you don't want to watch either of them right now?
You watched them when you were younger and they've aged poorly.
Yeah. Well, like We're Back, but it's like inappropriately bring up child abuse is a very Daniel Tosh move. Like that's
Yay. Wait, has anybody seen that Netflix show F is for Family? Wait, is that Netflix? Yeah. It's literally it's like the same animation as Brickleback and Paradise PD or whatever. So horrendous looking. But also it's just like, you know, how can you definitely raise your children to grow up traumatized and hating you?
Do you think that like all of those shitty shows that you just mentioned like have the same like there's like one South Korean sweatshop that just animates all those shows.
I never thought I would say this, but I pray to God yes, because I don't want to believe that more than one source is creating these.
I've definitely heard that F is for Family is like better than like the Paradise PD shit, but
Speaking of,
I'm not gonna watch any of them.
Speaking of police departments, do we have time left on this podcast to delve into?
Yeah. I think we should delve into Poochinski. I think we should tell Madeline about Poochinski.
Yeah. I got a lot to say about this show, though.
So imagine the ugliest, white, balding, middle-aged man with father-style halitosis breath somehow developing enough karmic justice despite being a repeat sex offender and brandishing a gun at children that for some reason, that when he dies, very justly in the line of duty, I may add, somehow he mind melds telepathically with a dog.
At first, I was confused because it's like, does he reincarnate as the dog? Because the dog shows up and he's still alive, and that's not really how reincarnation works, to my knowledge. Yeah. And then I was like, is he demonically possessing a dog? But then it's like, no, he's actually doing like a quest for Spock mind meld with this dog. So his consciousness actually merges with the dog's consciousness. And I think Colette raised a very good point.
It's American Isekai, but done horribly. It's like instead of being like a full, this is somebody who has, reincarnated in another world and another, as a baby. This was like reincarnated in the same world, but took over a dog's body and somehow understands how to control the enhanced olfactory and just general sensory organs of a dog without their brain literally exploding.
Okay, so first, why would this get made?
John Ritter had money, is why this got made. John Ritter is the executive producer.
This makes me very sad to hear about. Third, what the fuck is the plot then? Like, what does the dog do?
So the plot is that he's a police detective who's now a flatulent bulldog who farts a lot. And if you watch the trailer, there is a scene where the announcer goes, and he's gonna take a bite out of crime. And then it shows the dog biting the crotch of, like, a man. And that's kind of...
I want to believe that, like, all of the sexual harassment he lays onto the 911 dispatchers, which is, it's bad. I mean, like...
Within the first 20 seconds of the show is sexually harassing a 911 dispatcher. Like,
yeah, literally, they're like doing a flyover of the city, and he's just like, "Hey, you got a sexy voice." And he's just like, "Please stop, sir. She doesn't work."
This sounds like an interdimensional cable cutaway.
Yeah.
A fucking actual show. Like, I am legitimately concerned right now.
I saw a 40-second trailer for it and was like, this has to be a parody, and then looked it up and was like, oh no, there's a full episode. And it only has one episode. We never get to find out how this would have been fleshed out into a series.
I mean, luckily they've solved the entire plot, like, immediately, minus how he became a dog. Like, they find the guy who killed him before the end of the episode, and he bites him in the dick. And I honestly think that all of the sexual harassment just stems from some really deep insecurities about his very latent homosexual feelings and men who kill him. I mean, personally, I know that if somebody, like, fatally fucking killed me while I was just at work, I would not bite their dick.
I thought it was gonna be like a Monk kind of thing, where like he's trying to solve his wife's murder. Thought it was like one of those, like, we're setting the premise for the whole series, but instead they're just like, nope, just like bites his murderer in the dick, end the episode, end the pilot. Like,
see, we're dunking on this show for the sexual harassment, but I think had it gone on, it would have actually been a very woke show where he learns his lesson because he gets neutered, and then he would have to like reassess his life without the one thing that drove him in his personality.
Okay. This is like, sorry, it really is, because I really, like, can't believe that it's real. And like, okay, all right, here are the feelings that I have. I personally fucking loathe the cute animal does fucked up thing cliche.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, you will hate this. Like,
well, I think the only time it was actually done well was in South Park, and I hate to give it that kind of credit, but I think the Christmas critter thing was like very funny.
Yeah,
because it wasn't just crude. It was like well produced, but like I hate that fucking like ugly animated dog with like a fucking butthole cliche, and it's like, oh, it's like a human and it does. I bet it has a butthole. Does he have like a pronounced butthole?
The dog, I don't remember a butthole, but the dog looks satanic. Like, his face looks like a butthole. Like, his face looks like Satan's butthole. Like,
Madeline,
like,
if you will indulge us for a second, I want to play a 40-second trailer.
All right.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's the trailer for Poochinski.
Peter Boyle is a tough, ill-mannered cop who is run down in the line of duty. But that's not the end of his story. No. He's reincarnated. Surprise! As a streetwise bulldog in Poochinski.
What are you going to do now? Well, first I'm going to try licking myself, and then I'm going to catch my killer.
The talking dog teams up with his astonished former partner to put the bite on crime.
When they say bite on crime, that's where he bites into the crotch of a man. I just want to point that out.
It also just sounds like an old man biting into an apple.
But wait, here's the best part.
The trailer spoil the ending of like true works of cinema, and you can't really.
Wait, here's the best part.
It's touching.
Look at me. I've become a dog. It's all sinking in now.
It's poignant.
But it's life. It's precious life.
It's unforgettable.
You're a dog. I'm a cop. This is ridiculous.
So who the fuck would watch that and be like, yeah, this was touching and poignant? Because that's literally what the trailer tried to bill it as.
That was probably the least touching or poignant thing I've ever seen.
I have visceral feelings to that, and hearing the dog go, well, first I'm gonna lick myself. I'm like, Danny DeVito did it better. Frank Reynolds did it better, and I don't need someone else coming in to take that spot, because the spot's been filled, and it's fine.
Wait, do you know who this is? Who plays him?
Who?
It's Peter Boyle, the guy who played the Frankenstein stand-in in Young Frankenstein.
And the dad on that fucking Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Okay, so firstly, it's kind of fucked up that I know Everybody Loves Raymond better than I Young Frankenstein, but look, I grew up in a weird household, so like...
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Fucked up millennials is fine, yeah.
I stan Everybody Loves Raymond. I'm one of the everybody's who loves him.
Can I make like a slight, so this is, I'm not a academic expert on the subject, but I just Googled Samsara, which is the Buddhist cosmology. And according to Samsara, the animal realm, so people get reincarnated as animals, is a hellish realm because animals are believed in Buddhist texts to be driven by impulse and instinct. They prey on each other and suffer. So actually, this guy being reincarnated as a dog is actually pretty consistent. Like, it's actually he's being punished because he's a piece of shit cop.
Honestly, I really like the praxis where this is an academic look on a Buddhist take of reincarnation. Like, I am so here for that academic paper of Poochinski, an exploration of Buddhism.
Well, as Colette pointed out earlier, like, he harasses, like, he brandishes a gun in front of like young children. I forget what they're doing, but they're like pissing.
They were bullying the dog that he saved.
Yeah.
And somehow develops enough karma that they're like, oh, it's not your time yet. You get to be a police dog now.
I like he does not respect adult women at all, but like dogs, like that's where he draws the line. Like he's ready to go full like fucking like Death Wish.
Let's not even start on the fact that he fully molests a woman as soon as he becomes a dog. He's just like, let me hop up on your lap, honey.
Also, as ethically fucked up as it is, like the physics of it also confused me a lot. Like I'm not sure like what's going on.
Well, the physics of a lot of things in like animation confuse me. Not to beat a dead horse, but namely, dead or alive beach volleyball. Those physics confused me.
My boobs move just like that. My boobs move exactly like that. They are just fucking everywhere.
In opposite directions from each other every time I take a step. And really, bras aren't there for support. They're there for structure.
They're there for look. They're there for looks alone. I don't know how that.
They're there to prevent it from getting an AO rating.
I feel like you could just mod those off, though.
Okay, so I don't know why that actually reminded me of this. Does anybody remember Stripperella, or is that just...
Yeah, totally.
I don't, and I want to see it now.
It's Pam Anderson's sexy cartoon. where she's a superhero.
Yeah, it was like back when like Spike TV was trying to put out like a bunch of like stuff to like compete with MTV's like new animation shit. So they put out like a bunch of stupid stuff that was like I don't know. They had like Ren and Stimpy adult cartoon and
Party cartoon.
Oh wait, did anybody here ever watch oh shit, no, I just forgot. Oh no. Oh no.
Teen Titans, yes, I did.
Yes, I am a very
actually.
big Hey Arnold fan.
I actually really didn't watch Hey Arnold at all. My Nick show was mainly Rugrats because there were fucking Jews in it, and I was like, hell yeah, do that Passover episode, motherfuckers.
Hey that is a great episode.
In this
I will say
shit. I'm here for it.
Hey Arnold was so good because I moved from like small town Harrisonburg, Virginia to Baltimore, and to get accustomed to understanding the city more. It was like such a city oriented show. Like they had like Stoop Kid and plots about getting the bus on time, and it was just like not the school bus. And it was just I don't know. It's Hey Arnold's a very unique show within like the animation canon because it's one of the few shows where none of the characters are like loud, wacky, or dumb. They're all, especially for that time period, right? Like early 90s.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I like it because Helga has the line, and I quote, "He makes my girlhood tremble and taught me it was okay to be horny on Maine." Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Hell yeah.
Well, Helga was the first, honestly, like when I was like really little, the only character I ever remember getting like character development before I was like, you know, and this is like pre being 10 years old. Like this is like childhood. I remember Helga getting actual character development for why she acted the way that she did and thinking like, oh, cool. Like people aren't always how they are. Like that, I think was like the first time that idea was really put into my head and like kind of solidified. Like, oh, she like has this home life and like this is what's going on and whatever, and she's like mean to this boy, but she actually really likes him, but like she doesn't know if he likes her, and I just thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, she had the sister. She had the sister, and the relationship with her sister kind of reflected the relationship with Arnold because she didn't know how to, because her sister and her love each other, but they always like express that through competing. And so she doesn't know how to express love with Arnold because that's what she knows within her family.
Yeah, I just always thought that was like really cool. I don't know. I'm just here for Helga Pataki. Helga, darling.
She's genuinely in my top 20.
You are
like
the best tsundere besides Oscar Langley, and I again will die on that hill.
Easily top 20 cartoon characters of all time for me. I'll say that off the bat.
The only thing about Helga that was kind of fucked up was like that she like took Arnold's gun and made that effigy out of it. Like that. As a kid, I always hated guns. Yeah.
Wait, you guys didn't do that?
Kind of fucking weird.
Wait, that was just build effigies to your crush?
Yeah, I do that shit all the time, dude.
Fan fiction. I wrote 200-page fan fictions about my fictional crushes. All right, I did it the normal way, so I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But
yeah, but they like live in like a fictionalized New York City, so like that like effigy is like at least 30% pigeon feces, like at least. Like...
Hell yeah. Fucking, she's gonna build up a great immunity to bird flu, and honestly, I just think that's forward thinking.
She's the only one who survives the avian flu pandemic that ravages.
Oh, I remembered finally. Did anybody watch Tyler the Creator's Jellies?
Yeah.
No,
Colette, I saw you always would like me whenever, like my comments whenever I'd stand for that show, because Adult Swim would put out trailers and everyone would shit on it. And I was like, dude, that show's funny as shit. That one episode...
It's so good!
That one episode where they go to the retirement home for all the 90s cartoons is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Right?
Wait, okay, sorry. So I haven't seen the show, but that immediately makes me think of, like, adult foster's home. Like, that's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah, it was only the premise for one episode, but it's
I was gonna say,
incredible.
that was the subplot of one episode, but it's honestly legitimately, like, such a fucking hilarious show. I love Tyler the Creator.
Yeah, same.
Well, so...
Yeah, I stand.
When I grew up... my parents put a TV in my bedroom. So I was allowed to have a TV in my room. But, and like, here's what a fucking loser I was. When I started to see commercials that Adult Swim was coming on, I would turn my TV off because I didn't want to get in trouble.
Oh my God.
But yeah, no,
Madeline.
Madeline. I will say, Madeline, I did the exact same thing too. I wanted to watch the Boondocks so bad, but
Okay.
every
I
time my mom would come out.
I was gonna say, y'all two are nerds. You know, like your parents wouldn't know that you were watching Adult Swim.
So like when I was younger, my parents bought me manga, but they didn't read it themselves. And then when they figured out, like, oh yeah, it's not just kid content, like they like kind of like got really sensitive. And then they caught me watching, like, this is embarrassing to admit, but they caught me watching the original Naruto abridged. One.
Oh no.
Yeah, and they were like, anime is very bad and also inappropriate. So like
early Adult Swim, like I had a pretty permissive upbringing, but early Adult Swim was, I could see, like, because it'd be like they'd be playing like the Brack Show or whatever, which would be like TV7 sometimes, and they'd be like, this show is for adult audiences only and contains mature situations. It's very much like they definitely like were trying to snitch on the parents sometimes, like snitch the parents, like.
Well, yeah, because right before. Because right before right before that, some kid burned down their house because of Beavis and Butthead, so everyone was very sensitive to the idea of getting sued.
Hey, natural fucking selection. If your kid is dumb enough to do what they see in cartoons, maybe they shouldn't live.
I forgot about like the brief like micro moral panic about like adult themed cartoons because of the Beavis and Butthead kid.
Well, like I'm a huge Beavis and Butthead stan. I think it's very funny and has a lot of good satire in it. But if you watch the early episodes, there is no character work. Like the pilot of that is literally just two kids see a frog, scream frog baseball, destroy the frog with a baseball bat, then see a poodle, and then yell dog baseball. Like the very first like 5 episodes of that were like as dangerous as the dumb moral guardian parents like would say they were. Like it really was the most socially irresponsible show.
Like straight up, kids are just gonna be fucking stupid. So okay,
it's like a chicken and the egg thing though. Like because were adolescent boys like doing that because they watched Beavis and Butthead, or was like fucking what's his name was like Mike Judge capturing what adolescent boys like to do? Like
yeah, and like so to tell on myself in like a similar story, I didn't burn down my house, but like when I saw The Matrix for the first time, and like I was too old for this, but I did it anyway because I was like big dumb. I lived in a rancher style house, and so there was a long hallway from one end of the house to the other. So I thought to myself, if I pick up enough speed, I can probably run up the wall and do a backflip like they do in the Matrix. Hold on, this gets better. This gets better than what you're thinking. I promise you're not, like, I don't just fall, just like wait. So, backstory, at the end of the house, there used to be an office, which they had plastered over and then extended my sister's room at the time. So, I brilliantly take off full speed ahead at one end of the house, plant my foot on the wall at the other end of the house, lift my other foot up to plant it on the wall, and my leg goes right through the wall. So I'm stuck in the wall yelling for my sister to come get Dad, and she just goes, "What did you do?" And I'm just like, "Go get him! I'm stuck in the wall because I wanted to do a backflip." Like, kids are gonna do dumb shit. Whether or not that involves arson is like completely up to natural selection. And
1 out of 1,000 of those kids' parents will sue Beavis and Butthead because that's just like they're weirdos. Like to me, the parents are totally weirdos. Like was the kid even watching Beavis and Butthead, or was it just like did they see it for 5 minutes because they're flipping through channels and they just like it annoyed them and they wanted to sue? I don't know. Like
right, my dad wasn't mad at the Matrix. My dad was mad at me because he's like, "What the fuck? Like you failed out of gymnastics camp. What?"
You can fail out of gymnastics camp?
You super can if you get scared enough on the rock wall. You totally can.
I think in general where we're at is that no matter whether you're a Cartoon Network kid or Nickelodeon kid or a PBS kid, your parents will find a way to sue a multinational company.
And lose.
All right, well, thank you guys, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week or so to talk about Adult Swim. I think we're going to do an Adult
Yay!
Swim and
Oh, hell
Toonami
yeah.
joint episode. Does anyone want to plug their Twitters or any of their other things? I'll say we have
Yes.
Natty Beaks Productions. Check that out on YouTube. Natty Beaks like birds production. And we've got a new video where I play a skeevy ass car salesman.
Hell yeah. Does anybody else want to plug their Twitter? Because I'm totally going to plug mine.
Do it. Do it.
Okay,
Yeah, go for it.
That's
Tight.
podcast bread and butter.
Yeah, I'm trying to make this Twitter thing a thing. So, like, follow me at Hypest, HYPEST, Princess. You know how to spell princess. There's no space in between them. That's the whole thing. I post a lot about assholes in anime. So, like...
I follow her and I get about half of the jokes, but the ones I do get are very funny.
They're great. I posted one about, sucking dick, being in a moose bouche to eating ass. So, like, that's my content and my brand.
Madeline, I did a joke where I posted I want Breaking Bad to do a beach episode, and I was hoping you'd be the one anime person to favorite it, but it just...
I didn't see it. I love that. Oh my god. I've also never seen Breaking Bad, but, like, I love the concept.
Right.
Like, I'm here for the concept of, like, what's his name, Jesse, just, like, walking along a beach being like, what's up, bitch, senpai? Like, that's what I'm here for.
Walter was his senpai. Like, that is true. Like,
Yeah,
Oh
no,
my
that's
God,
not
Jesse
too
being
inaccurate.
Like, notice me, bitch. Notice me, bitch.
Notice me, bitch!
the whole series of Breaking Bad was a notice me senpai.
And,
you can find me at exactly the number 5 eels on Instagram. I'm not a good Twitter. I don't tweet. I don't know how that stuff works.
Yeah.
Wait,
I'm a boomer, so I don't
what's
have any
your
of that
what's
shit.
your Instagram handle again?
Exactly the number 5 and eels. Exactly 5 eels.
Oh wow, incredible.
We decided that's how many eels it would take to pretend to be me in a trench coat.
Perfect.
All right.
Ah.
Nevin?
Aha.
I'm a boomer. I don't have any of this shit.
Yeah,
I don't
but
have
do you
any-
want
I don't
to?
have
You
any
could
self-
promote anything. You could promote using condoms or
People
kids
should
next
use the
door.
Death of
Condoms,
Ben
really?
10.
Yeah. Can I promote my multi-level marketing scam?
Yes.
It's called the Ben 10 program, and there are 10 levels of ascension, and they're different monsters, and also fuck Ben 10, just as a side
Yeah,
bar.
yeah,
Oh,
fuck
yeah.
bedtime.
Yeah, Ben 10
That's
sucks,
a whole nother,
dude.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
At the
Bye.
fucking
Tomorrow.
podcast store.